right, we're back. Couple weeks or a week or two off. Been pretty busy in the Mid Atlantic or in Virginia, D.C. With tournaments and scout days and rankings and everything else. Um, Appreciate everybody joining us for a kind of a special episode that will not be on social media or Twitter or anywhere like that. This is our high school sneak peek top 10 preview for the West region. I am Jason Burton, Virginia DC Scouting Director, joined by Jordan Jones, Virginia DC Assistant Scouting Director. Jordan, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well.
A lot of energy from Jordan this morning. We are recording this on Tuesday, September 24th at about 9 o'clock in the morning. This story will be released on Wednesday, September 25th, followed by Richmond on Thursday, the 26th, and then finally followed up by the Beach, 757, next Wednesday, and then or next Tuesday or Wednesday, and then finally our fourth and final one will be the Nova Top 10. We'll probably leave the most scrutinized one and probably the hardest one, just because there's a zillion schools in Northern Virginia. We'll leave that one for last to wrap up that series of high school sneak peeks. What we're going to do today, we have 15 teams that we're going to discuss. We're going to have our top 10, then we have 5 honorable mention teams. Those honorable mention teams are just going to be listed in alphabetical order. We'll just kind of do some quick hits for some standout names on those teams. And then we'll get a little bit more in depth with our top 10. The one thing I do want to point out, and it is noted in the story, understand we are going off of players that we anticipate to be a part of these programs this spring. If there are new transfers or guys with injuries that are out for the year or things like that, there are obviously some guys that we may not know about that we say are returning and are playing this year and may not be due to an injury that we are unaware of. And there also may be some transfers in or out that we are unaware of. So we apologize for that because we are doing this early and because it can be, especially with public schools, such a slippery slope for coaches to talk about the potential makeup of a team. We did not reach out to any coaches for information on who they expect to be big contributors or whatever this year. We are simply going off of what we know from this past year and what we anticipate for this next year. We are fairly plugged in with coaches and programs and things like that across the state in all regions. So these should be pretty accurate, but obviously there's always some room for some things that maybe we're not aware of at this time of year with it being so early. But again, with being back in school, we wanted to create a little buzz in anticipation of the high school season coming in the next, Jordan? What are we, about 6 months away? 6 months away from the high school season. So pretty pumped about that. All right, Jordan, anything else to add before we start?
Yeah, we kind of mentioned before the West, the talent continues to grow for the West. That's very exciting for us, and just the talent, be able to go out and see a bunch of different teams, a bunch of different new players that we get to see some new faces. So I'm really excited for what the future holds for the West.
Yeah, now last thing I'll say about the West before we start, what we consider West is essentially anything west of Richmond. And when I say anything west of Richmond, out of the general Richmond area, basically once you get to, down 64 and head in towards the valley and west, and then I guess you could say kind of west of 85 in terms of the just a simple geography of the state. So we're going west and southwest, so it's a pretty big territory. We do our best to try to cover it during the spring. And today we're going to do our best to try to recognize some of the top teams that we anticipate in 2025. All right, starting off, honorable mention. Again, we're going to go in alphabetical order. You have the Fluvanna Flucos, VHSL Class 3. They were 18-6 last year. Some names like Sam Loving, Brody Shields, Jackson Fields will be returning. They did lose one anticipated returner who transferred, who started for them all last year and was a big piece. So I think that will be something that they have to figure out. But they do have some solid pieces there. I don't know if they started, really any upper class. I don't want to say any upperclassmen, but any seniors last year. And if they did, it wasn't many at all. I mean, I went to one. Jordan, were you able to get out to? I think we were just at one Fluvanna game at Louisa. So they should have a chance in that Charlottesville area. Then you have Franklin County, VHSL Class 5, moved down from Class 6 last year. They were 18-6. They had a big loss of graduation last year, but they also returned Reed McIlvain and Lawson Paisley, who should be big contributors for the Eagles this year. Next, honorable mention, John Battle, VHSL Class 2. They were 19-6 last year. They lost some upper class arms and they lost a few pieces, but kind of that core that were huge for them are returning. Caden Sturgill, Porter Gobble, younger brother Palmer Gobble, and then Elijah Childress. All four of those guys should be back for the Trojans. Halifax County Comets, VHSL Class 4, 18-6. They will have to replace some big innings on the mound for Halifax, but Halifax always finds a way to figure things out on the mound. They have produced arms for a long time, and I imagine they still will. They will return Logan Clark, Garrison Colwell, and Carter Thomason as three of the bigger names there. And then our fifth and final honorable mention team are the Louisa Lions, VHSL Class 5. They were 11-8 last year. Same thing. They return a lot of upper class, or they return a lot of pieces off of their 2024 team. And that includes Eric Davis, Jaden Thompson, and Levi Wilson, who are three big pieces for Louisa. And I think, they have a chance to definitely make some noise in that Charlottesville area and in the state. Where did they were they in the – well, I guess that was region. They lost at Franklin County in regionals, I believe. Am I right, Jordan?
Yeah, I believe so.
All right. We're going to move to our top 10. This team is just a perennial power. They just always kind of seem to be there every single year, no matter the turnover from the year before. So it's a team that you kind of like, all right, well, what are they bringing back? And they lost so much, and do they have enough to kind of be in this conversation? And every single year that we say those things, we look like dummies halfway through the season when they're, 14-0 or whatever. And are in the regional championship and state quarters and state semis and state championship almost every single year. And that is the Liberty Christian Bulldogs, VHSL Class 3. LCA was 24-1 last year. Obviously, the one game that they lost ended their season in the playoffs. They return a big piece that they had last year in Aiden Walker, who was huge for them on the mound and at the plate. Aiden's a 2025. In addition to that, they returned Josh Hall, 2025 infielder. Actually got a chance to see Josh yesterday. Very briefly, I was on the phone. Jordan got to talk to him a little bit more, but got to see him out on the road. We won't disclose. We don't know if people, are privy to that information. But we got to see Josh and his parents yesterday. And then Bryce Torres. A healthy Bryce Torres could be a big piece here. I was a little dinged up last year, was able to play shortstop, was not able to hit. Hopefully he returns fully healthy. Very talented middle infielder, can really pick it. Left-handed hitter, really good bat to ball. Again, hopefully he gets back healthy. Like outside of that, Jordan, I mean, what are your thoughts with LCA outside of those three?
Yeah, just with them, just find that next group of guys that can come in and continue what they've started. I think the history they've had in the past. And I believe that Coach Tomlin will be able to get those guys, find those guys, and get them where they need to be. Some big innings that need to be replaced on the mound. But I feel like they're going to have some guys step up, find a way to win. Just doesn't matter who it is, they'll do it as a staff, and they're going to find a way to pick some big innings this spring. So I think just the innings piece will be the big part for them heading to the spring.
For sure. Landon Owen was huge for them. They lose their starting catcher. They lose Landon Owen. I mean, they lose multiple pieces. Braden Weaver in the outfield, big for them in the middle of the order, threw some innings for them. Like I said, Owen was huge on the mound. He did a magnificent job for them. It seemed like every time he was on the mound. So there's definitely some things that they have to figure out. But, honestly, I would have been remiss to not put LCA in this top 10 just because of where they end up every single year. Moving on to number 9. This team got on a little bit of a heater last year, a lot of a heater. Pulaski, I want to say it's Cougars, right? Pulaski County Cougars, I'm pretty sure. Pulaski County, VHSL Class 3. They were 14-11. They had some big wins. They had some lopsided losses, but they got hot at the right time, and they're returning a large portion of their contributors from last year. They lost Gabe Huff, Ethan Tickle, but they returned, a majority of the guys who were on the front end of that lineup, especially, talking about specifically Caleb Sarton and Seth Carter, who were freshmen last year. And I want to say they hit like 1 and 2 or 1 and 3 in the order. I think the game that I went to, they hit 1 and 2. And so you're talking about a left-handed hitting 6'4" runner, who will probably throw some pretty big innings for them this year on the mound. I mean, he's kind of like, I'm not saying he's becoming an arm. I still think he's a positional guy. But as far as like a high school arm and an intriguing arm at that, I mean, he's 85, 87, 85, 88, and can spin it and compete. He's got a little bulldog in him. And you have Seth Carter, who can throw as well, outfielder, power bat. I see how he breaks through in his sophomore season. And then you have Cole Hutton, 6'5", 6'6", rail thin right-hander, low to mid 80s. He was their workhorse this past year. He threw countless innings for them. The game that I went to where they defeated Salem, he pitched that game. So he's just been really effective for them. So it's thin. It's not a ton of depth there, which that happens, right? It's smaller schools, and especially when you go, west to smaller places, there's not a ton of depth usually. So they're thin. So they got to stay healthy, especially on the mound with Hutton and Sarton and some other guys. But they ended the season the right way. They had some huge wins, made a run in the state tournament. So we have Pulaski at number 9. Jordan, what do you think? Is there anything that stands out that kind of will take them over the top, or what do they need? What are they missing?
I would just say like the one thing that will take them over the top for me is you have a group of guys that love to compete. Caleb Sarton is one of the highest competitors that in that 27 class. He loves to play the game. And just with those young guys that when they got hot, those guys love to play the game. So that kind of propelled them over top, just the competitiveness and able to compete and go out and play. But like you said, they're gonna have to find some innings with Sarton probably stepping up in a big role, and also Seth Carter as well. Just having those guys taken to a bigger step, like you're not freshman anymore. We're gonna have to. You're one of the guys now. So those guys stepping into that next role and kind of taking that next step is gonna be huge for them this spring.
For sure. Moving to number 8. After I cue this one up, I'm gonna pass it over to you. The Salem Spartans from Salem, Virginia. VHSL Class 4 had a really good season, 16-5. Ran into Michael Harpster. Ran into what's wrong?
Cooper Campbell.
I'm sorry. I apologize. Yes, they're one and the same. Yes. Harpster was 2023 class. Cooper was 2024 class. Ran into Cooper Campbell and EC Glass. They've had, low slot righties for like the past 3 years that just dominate everyone. They ran into Cooper Campbell and EC Glass in the playoffs. I think Jordan was at that game. And that ended their season, but overall a really strong season from Salem. Jordan, take us through that Salem team and what you think for 2025.
Yeah, I obviously have to start with the big arm, Trace Monroe, VMI commit. He's the ace of that team. Lefty, fills up the zone, mid 80s. But he's going to be the guy that they be the workhorse for them on the mound, and they're going to rely on a lot this spring. And then Braden White, middle infielder, he's going to be like a spark plug, be able to defend up the middle at the top of that lineup. So he's going to be a big piece for them. And then Mason Hale, outfielder, he's an athletic outfielder, can hit a little bit, run. So he's going to step into a bigger role, being asked to provide some offense at the top of that lineup for Salem. So I'm kind of excited to see where this young group can take this spring.
For sure, Trace Monroe can be the game changer for them. He was really, really good when I saw him last year. Like you said, they're a little bit older, a little bit more experienced offensively. I think the biggest thing is they went up and saw Cooper Campbell and EC Glass, and honestly, this is just, it's the nature of the beast, right? Like, it's not a knock on anybody or anything, but they don't get in that area. They don't get to see a ton of arms like that, right? And EC Glass, not that they were like a super offensive team, but these dudes are seeing the LCA arms. They're seeing the Jefferson Forest arms. They're seeing Caden Janney. In addition to that, they're seeing, Dalton Wentz and Jaden Davis, and they're seeing arms on a consistent basis that allows them to be comfortable in these types of games, which I think is very, very important. But I think that, them being a year older and a year more experienced, I think that will help them. But I think that offense needs to be able to show the ability to have success versus good arms. And it's tough when you don't see them on a consistent basis, and VHSL Class 4, straight up, Class 4 runs through Richmond. Class 4 has run through Richmond for years, and it doesn't look to be slowing down this year or next year. So there's arms in Richmond. So got to figure out a way to beat those arms. Moving up to number 7, another VHSL Class 4 team, Blacksburg. Blacksburg was 19-4 last year, had a heck of a run, ran into a buzzsaw that was Caden Succi and Dominion at Virginia Tech. Dominion wasn't the most offensive team, but they hit when they needed to, and Succi was lights out on the mound for them. So that's kind of how their season ended. 19-4 season, really good year all the way around. Jordan, who are some returners and what can we expect from Blacksburg?
Yeah, first of all, it's the big bat of Bryce Abbott, the big power hitter for them in the middle of that lineup. He's going to be the guy that's going to drive in the runs offensively for Blacksburg. And then you have Major Marshall and Sam Sheff. Those are some guys like up the middle that can help them this spring. Sheff's left-handed hitter, 27, so he's going to take the next step, looking for him to take the next step and be a big leader and contributor for that offense for Blacksburg this spring.
For sure. Number 6, Broadway, the Gobblers, going out to the Harrisonburg area. VHSL Class 3, 16-6. Return a strong contingency of offensive pieces. I think, where's the separator and what do they need to figure out to take that next step? Arms. Right? They have Kobe Fessler, Jackson Plogger, who were both freshmen last year, contributing and playing a big role for them. Fessler can throw some for you. He threw some for him last year, I believe. And then you have Cy Kreider, 2025, one of the best hitting catchers in the state. I think I'm pretty safe saying that. Left-handed hitter, catcher, committed to West Virginia. That's a 2025. Kid can really swing it. And then Christian Rivera, the shortstop, 2025 infielder. That it's a good chance he probably takes over for Hensley at short. Would be, I say my guess. I think that's a fair chance. But I think, would you agree, Jordan, the arms is what they need to figure out?
Absolutely. They can swing with the best of them. They're going to score runs, but you have to put up zeros at the end of the day to win ball games. So the innings piece is going to be a big question mark for them heading to the spring. If they can figure that out, they're going to be a real problem in the Valley.
All right. Moving to number 5. We're going to take a trip down to VHSL Class 1. Auburn, the Auburn Eagles from Reiner, which is out in the Salem, well, it's not Salem. It's out in the Roanoke, Blacksburg, Pulaski area. I guess that's not Roanoke. I'm not very good with stuff out there. But it's in the Blacksburg, Pulaski, out that way, Radford area. Auburn Eagles, 23-2. I got a chance. That was my first trip. There. Pretty neat little setting. And they played Blacksburg. Josh Givens was outstanding for them. The Limestone College commit. I want to say he was first team for us, first team pitcher, I believe. I'm pretty certain of that. Just had a absolutely foolish ERA. It was like 0.3 or something like that, 0.5. He dominated all year. I think that was a complete game shutout from him. Obviously, because he didn't give up really any runs all year. Matthew Altizer, 2026. Talon Maurer, 2025 shortstop. Pretty sure Talon's 2025. Yep, 2025 shortstop. Brody Hensel, 2026 left-handed pitcher. They have you got Jared Laverne, 2025. Zach McLaughlin. Like, they have some depth in that lineup, especially for Class 1. Like, it's pretty solid. Altizer catches for them. But, I mean, this is a right-handed arm. It's been up to 88. And you got Givens, it's mid-80s and pitches and throws multiple pitches for strikes. And just isn't going to give you much room to breathe. I mean, they have some depth on the mound. They have some depth in the lineup. The Maurer kid can pick it at short. Obviously, if Altizer's behind the plate, obviously he has some arm strength. That's a tough out. That's a tough out in Class 1. It's a tough out for pretty much anybody out in the West as well. So a lot of success in that program over the past, since I've been around, 5-6 years that I've really been, starting to venture into other parts of the state and following things. They've been super successful. And I don't see that slowing down this year. So that is Auburn. They come in at number 5. We're going to go to the Valley again. We're going to go to number 4. And I kind of botched that one a little bit, Jordan, with Auburn, but I'm gonna move to number 4, Spotswood, the Blazers. Jordan, talk us through Spotswood a little bit while I play this.
Yeah, 2025 Brady Hoover, Longwood commit. He's going to be a big workhorse for them on the mound this spring. Mid-80s arm, can spin multiple breaking balls for strikes. So he's going to be a big guy for them on the mound. And then you have Carter Lynch right behind him in that rotation, and he's going to be upper 80s, run up to 90, 91 at times. Those two are going to be very important for their success this spring. Then you have to go up the middle to 2026 Cam Blank. He can pick it with the best of them. So he's going to be a big leader for them. Try to create some offense for them at the top of the lineup, but you're going to have a premium defender at shortstop for them. Then you have Andrew O'Brien. Stays up the middle too with them. He's a big contributor for them offensively at the top of the lineup as well. So hopefully him and Cam Blank can create some magic at the top of the lineup for those guys. But I mean, those guys right there, they're a tight-knit group. They love to compete. They love to play the game. So they're a team to watch out for in the Valley.
Guys, that's why he's the best. That's why he's the best in the business. He had no idea the order of that video and just seamlessly moved through Spotswood in order with each of those videos. So shout out to the GOAT, Jordan. And I apologize to Auburn. I had a little video. Here we go. It's, better late than never, right? This is Givens on the mound. That was the day I was there at Blacksburg. Brody Hensel hit a bomb out this summer in one of our tournaments. And then you see Altizer there on the mound with that short arm action. Again, been up to 88. So apologize to Auburn for that. We were just in such a flow talking about teams. I forgot all about the hours that we spent making these videos. All right. So that's number 4. Spotswood Blazers, 16-5 last year, VHSL Class 3, returning 2 huge arms. I'm going to go out on a limb here, Jordan. I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say in the Valley area, I'm going to say any west of Charlottesville, west of Crozet. How about that? West of Crozet or Valley or west not named Miller School. Okay, west not named Miller School. Brady Hoover, the best arm in the West?
I would say yes, because when he steps on the mound, you're going to get, what you're going to get out of him. He's going to throw strikes. He's going to be able to spin breaking ball, and you look up to 6-7 innings, you're in a ball game, and you may be up or it's be a close ball game, but you can almost bet on him just keeping you in the game. He's going to fill it up and attack hitters, and he competes, man. So I would say yes.
That's my hot take of the day. Any team not named Miller School, Brady Hoover is best arm in the West. And like Jordan said, because you know what you're going to get every single day, right? Monroe, we don't get to see him a ton. We've gotten to see Hoover a bunch. Monroe was really, really good when we saw him last year. That's why he was really, really good when I saw him the one time. I think he was good when Jordan saw him as well. So there's plenty of other contenders there. But as far as consistently playing solid competition and dominating or doing really well on a consistent basis, Brady Hoover is that guy. All right, moving to number 3, St. Anne's Belfield. What's Stabs? What's their mascot, Jordan? I mean, I can pull it up real quick. Saints? I don't know if that's right. You should pull it up while I play this video. We just sit here in awkward silence. So there you have Will Yao, 2026, premium runner, shortstop. Right here, Oscar Hickey. That was at Trinity versus a really good arm. They dominated that game from start to finish. And then you have Brooks Fox, the 2026 catcher, left-handed hitter. And then Ryan Steeper hits a 2-run bolt right there in the Vista playoffs and had a massive year for them. They return offense and, there it is, Saints. Look at there on the jersey. Boom. See, I told you it was Saints. So they return a massive amount of offense and positional players. The biggest question, and Jordan, I know you'll probably back me on this, the biggest question for that Vista Division I team to get back to, Shepherd Stadium and playing on that Saturday, night or whatever for a championship, or continuing their success is going to be arms. They lost a huge piece with Alex Bingler. They will return Towns Pepper, and then Steeper, I would imagine, will throw, a fair bit for them. Yao will probably throw some as well. And then they have some younger guys coming up. They're going to kind of man some positions and be thrown into the fire a little bit in the outfield and some other places. But the offensive and positional talent is there. Jordan, what are your thoughts on Stab?
Yeah, I mean, just Alex Bingler was a big part of them last year on the mound. So replacing those innings, finding that next guy that can replace those innings and step up and be big for them is going to be the keys. But I mean, they have some young athletic players in that lineup that can create some offense, make some different things happen offensively and defensively as well. So just finding that next big arm to step up and get those innings is going to be a big part of their success.
Absolutely. All right. Going to the next one. A crowd favorite. And when I say crowd, I mean me. Abingdon Falcons. Abingdon is VHSL Class 3. They were 22-3 last year. They returned names like Jet Humphreys, the William & Mary commit, 2027 Hayden Reed, the Virginia Tech commit, Landon Turman of 2026, who I love, Judge Dillo, Daniel Fellhauer, Elijah Parks. The list goes on and on. I think I went last year and I don't think they started a single senior. There we go. We'll get it out eventually. Hey, Jordan's still on the layout there. He's just sitting there quietly, just me talking. They didn't have a single senior last year. Obviously Humphreys, Fellhauer, and Elijah Parks are seniors this upcoming year. But they're experienced, they're talented. There's Turman. I absolutely love the way Turman plays. Leadoff, can do a little bit of everything at the plate. Gets on the mound, competes. There's Humphreys. Both of those, Humphreys is going to be, get up to upper 80s, touch a 90. Turman's going to be more low to mid 80s. That is Fellhauer right there, I believe. Yep, 2 swings of Fellhauer. And then this is Elijah Parks. I believe this was a walk-off right here. I believe that's the game Jerry was at. Man, it's just a different environment. They're coached up. They play hard. They play together. They're young. They're talented. They have left-handed hitters up and down that lineup. There's really not anything to not like about them. Honestly, it's just a matter of them sealing the deal. They have the talent to do it. It's just finishing the job. That's all it is. It's just finishing the job, and honestly, like state championships and things like that, there's a lot of luck involved in those things. It's a lot of talent. It's getting the right matchup on the right day. The way that our stuff is set up, the way that these people set these state playoffs up, sometimes you can run your same arm out because you play 4 days apart, which makes absolutely no sense. But that's a discussion and a pod for another day. Jordan, anything to add on Abingdon, Coach Francisco's Falcons group?
Yeah, like you spoke about the seniors, but these underclassmen, they're very talented as well. Then I'm looking forward to them taking the next step. Like Hayden Reed is going to be a big contributor to offense. Judge Dillo can be a very big contributor for that offense as well. But as long as those guys put that offense together with the upperclassmen, underclassmen, they can be a very special team this spring.
All right, over under, setting the line at 3.5. We saw Abingdon twice last year. Over under, do we see them over or under 3.5 times this year?
I'm going over.
All right, there's a little trick to that number. We'll disclose that later. But yes, I'll take the over because I am making one trip to Abingdon. I have to every year. It'll probably be Abingdon and John Battle. All right, going to our number one team. Drum roll, please. Jordan, you got the drum roll? Or we'll use the drum roll as the guy in the background cutting grass. Tell that guy to chill.
Yeah,
tell him to come back in like an hour.
I would love that. God.
All right. We got the drum roll, the grass cutting guy in the background. Shout out to him out there just grinding on Tuesday morning. Miller School Mavericks. Vista Division I power, 32-6-2 last year. Key returners, Evan Hankins, Mandela Brauman. I was trying to wait to see who was on video next here to cue it up. There we go. I was going to say Sam Chef. John Michael Chef. Let's see. We got Kason Wagner there. Noah Gray, Drew Lucy, Jackson Rosales. The list goes on and on. Dylan O'Connor. Jordan, who's my left-handed arm?
Rex Road.
Rexy just gets outs. He just gets outs. You look up in the sixth, and he's allowed 3 hits and 1 run. And you're like, what happened? And it's like an hour and 10 minutes later. No, they have the most talent out west. It's not close. They have the most talent out west from top to bottom, on the mound, in the infield, behind the plate. Lucy can catch and throw. He receives really well. He'll do a really good job of handling that staff. They have another catcher coming in that can catch and throw a little bit. I'll leave that for the future because I don't know where that one fits in terms of, time and things like that. But talent up and down the lineup, on the mound, they can roll, 4 or 5 guys out there. Browman can roll out there and give you some 86s and 87s and get you some outs. And I just think it's a no-brainer. Like, there's really no arguing that Miller School is the top team in the West. There really shouldn't be any discussion. Like, what needs or what are they missing? I don't know if they're missing anything. I do think that they will miss Jackson Ingram. That's a huge, and in Caffarillo's leadership and stuff like that. I think Lucy's skill set and what he's able to do, I don't think you lose a ton ability wise in production wise from Caff to Lucy. But Caff was a really vocal, I would imagine, kind of a clubhouse guy, and definitely big time in the dugout and whatnot. But Jordan, anything else to add on there before we jump out of here?
Yeah, I mean, we went through all that list. That's a long list of talented players, and that's going to be hard to beat in the spring because they have that arm depth. They have some offense up and down the lineup. So, I mean, yeah, like you said, there's no argument. They're the most talented team in the West. So I'm excited to see those guys put it all together, and I'm just going to run.
Outstanding. Well, signing off. This is Jason Burton and Jordan Jones, high and tight, with our top 10 high school sneak peek preview. Appreciate everybody joining us, and see you next time.